The HTML Basics chapter has a certain amount of review in it, so let's skim through the first couple of headings. Here you can see we review doc type, HTML body, and so forth. These are things we know already. And if we scroll down to headings, we can see that H1 isn't the only heading available to us. So we can do H1 through H6, and you'll note if you try it yourself, by default H1 is the biggest, and then you can use subsequent headings to break content into smaller and smaller sections. This is only if you leave things styled exactly as they are by default, and as we go, we're going to be custom styling H1s and H2s and so on. So don't worry, they're not going to stay this ugly, but that gives us lots of options for headings. Okay, we know that paragraphs are ways just to separate blocks of text, so there's automatically space in between them. And I should point out that when you're working in HTML, white space is ignored. So say, for example, we want some space in between these two paragraphs that's greater than the single line default offered by a paragraph. So if I hit enter over here a bunch of times on the left and then I hit run, I'm actually not going to see any difference right here. And that's because you need an actual break, a BR tag, in order to make increased space in between two lines. Okay, now here we're getting down to some new stuff. So HTML links. Again, we're talking about hypertext here, so one of the most important things is linking. So let's describe how to do that. You can see that a link tag, instead of being link like you might expect it to be, a link tag is just an A. However, it also has a bunch of material here before the opening of the tag is closed, and that's known as an attribute. So anytime you have the name of the tag and then also some extra data or other material inside the tag as well, that's called an attribute. So here the attribute is named href, right? href equals quotes, and then we have the full address of some website that we'd like to go to when the link is clicked on, So if we try it ourselves, this will also get a little weird because I'm working in Firefox. So Firefox, the browser, tries to protect me from things that look suspicious. So if I click here on a link going to W3 Schools, we're already on a website, W3 Schools, and so it'll load up within this frame. But loading other websites within frames is sometimes an indicator that somebody's up to no good, is trying to trick you. So we can make a new link. However, we may find that Firefox blocks it. Okay, so to make a link, we do a href, and then watch carefully, equals, and if I like, I can do two quotes and close the tag so I don't forget anything. And now I can come back in here and do http://www.google.com, for example. So the content of the link, right, the thing that falls between the two tags, that's going to be go to Google. And then fortunately, I don't have to reproduce the href when I'm closing the link tag. So we'll run this. And the first thing that we'll note here, remember, is that because white space is not respected, I don't see these on two different lines. So I can add, let's say, two BR tags. And there's other ways to position things that are more elegant that we'll get into. So we'll run that. That looks a little bit better. Now if I click here, it may be that nothing happens, or it may even be that Firefox will pop up a warning and say we think something negative is trying to go on. So let's see if that link actually functions by putting it in a new tab. And sure enough, it works just fine. So I think we'll find that if we put this into our index.html page, everything will work fine there. So it's just another example of why the try it editor is not always the best choice when it comes to testing new things. But for these first introductory moments where we're just getting used to links and images and so forth, the try it editor would work pretty well. Okay, now that's links. Now the other thing that we're interested in is images shown on the web, right? One of the best parts of the web, especially for creatives that are putting portfolios online, for example. So an image tag, just like the link, starts out with a little bit of text. In this case, it's easier to remember, IMG. But there's a number of different attributes in this one. So first of all is source, SRC. And the source is the name of the image, and then also the folder path that tells us where it's located relative to the index. More on that later. There's also an alt. So for example, if somebody that can't see very well or is completely blind looks at this website, they might be using a screen reader. And so the screen reader will be able to take the alt tags and then read aloud whatever's found in there to help out users with disabilities. There's also an opportunity to resize images by changing the width and the height. Now, I want to show you something about that. So here we got a little image that they've got on their site. I like taking away either the height or the width characteristic because that means I just need to change one attribute and it will maintain the correct aspect ratio. So for example, if I say that the width should be 50 and then tell it to run, it's not going to take the thing and make it squished or skinny. So it understands it should maintain its ratio. So I like doing that just so I don't have to do the math. Of course, you can change this so that it tells you something different when you put your own images in there. And then we will talk more about how you position an image relative to your index.html file in a future lecture.